treat today. First Bullmastiff interview. I got Derrick Shaw on the line from Ricshaw Bullmastiffs. Rickshaw Bullmastiffs. It rolls off the tongue nicely. Can you explain why Rickshaw?
Well, Rickshaw is a personal name, and I wanted to incorporate myself and my wife as well. And like I said, my first name is Derrick, and her first name is Ricshaw. And inside of our names, we have RIC. So to merge both of us in there, and that was, and our last name, of course, is Shaw. So Rickshaw was that I felt was pretty catchy, and that would actually just make it a family thing.
Absolutely. So, it rolls off the tongue, too. Like, it sounds cool when you say it, Rickshaw. That's dope.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. So, all right. Would you consider yourself... Now I know you're into Bullmastiffs, but would you consider yourself, like, just strictly a Bullmastiff guy through and through?
No. I would consider myself a dog person.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and just to kind of give me a walkthrough, give me your story, like when did you get involved in dogs, and then what landed you on the Bullmastiff?
All right. So I started liking dogs at the age of like 5, 6, 7. Before I could really read or anything, I would grab an encyclopedia and I would go straight to the dog section. And before I could really understand anything, I could pretty much, I have memorized just about every breed.
Nice.
Especially the working breeds and all of that. I've always been around dogs. My first dog that I ever had, I got when I was 7. It was a French poodle mix, a little bitty white fluffy dog.
Right.
And that dog had more heart than most dogs that I've seen out here. Very protective dog. But so that was my first dog. And we moved, and he got out the yard and ran away or whatever. Growing up, my uncle, my mother's brother, he was big in German Shepherds. He came home from Vietnam, and he had a German Shepherd, and I used to, it's crazy because I have a love of dogs, but I was afraid of the dog. So, because it was a big German Shepherd, and he's, barking and everything, he's growling and stuff, and, this and that. But eventually he got older, and I grew out of that fear. So, going through life, I've had several different breeds because I just love dogs. So, and I'm just a fancier of all kinds of dogs. And eventually I ended up getting into the bullier dogs. I bought my first dog that I actually bought at 16. It was an Amstaff from a lady named Karen Cundiff. And this is like 87, 88.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I am 50 years old.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to kind of paint a picture here.
So I was born in 1973.
Okay.
And the dogs back then were different than today.
How so?
You said how so?
Yes, sir.
I think they were more. They were more. As I want to say, I don't want to say better built, but it was more put into the dogs. You get what I'm saying? More determination put into them, more time, more, you know, this is before like a lot of this social media and all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think a lot more thought went into the dogs back then. Mm-hmm. Versus, you know, because everybody didn't breed, or, you know, you had to really research and find you know, nowadays you can just pick up something and there it is, you know. But anyway, I got him, and I ended up, he was a great dog. I was young, 16, 17, so I didn't understand dogs like I do now. You know, I didn't know what I had. And I had a cousin that had a UKC pit bull, and, you know, his dog was a little different. This dog was more on the show line. His dog wasn't show line. And anyway, crazy. And I gave the dog back to the lady at 9 months. She was like, oh, you know, why you didn't want him? I don't know. But I didn't know what I had. If I knew now, I would have kept him.
Right.
But, so anyway, we can skip a few things and fast forward to, because I've had a lot of dogs in between that. But, I ended up, I knew what a bullmastiff was, but I didn't know. I've never seen one, you know, in person.
Right.
And so now I'm married, and, you know, we have a couple kids. We got a house, whatever, and we moved out of our apartment, and, you know, I wanted a dog. So I'm looking, and this time you had Trading Post and dog fancy magazines and stuff like that. So, so I get into the Trading Post, and this lady has a Bullmastiff Rottweiler mix. And one of the pictures I sent you, he's the one that's the red one in front of the kennel. Okay. And I go out there, and she lives out in the country part, and, you know, Amelia, Virginia, way past that, you know, somewhere out there. And she takes us to this barn that she has, and has her dogs in there. And she was a breeder. She had, you know, Bullmastiff, Rottweilers, and St. Bernards. And I don't know if it was a mistake breeding or what happened or whatever. But so she pulls out the dad, and he's this big dog, and I'm like, wow, you know. And the mom was a Rottweiler. She was a smaller size, but so we ended up getting him, and that was my first encounter with the Bullmastiff. Mm-hmm. And years later, like I said, I went through other dogs, whatever. And years later, I had a guy that was my neighbor, and he was into Amstaffs. Mm-hmm. And he got Amstaffs from Clover Hill's bloodline, Sharon Stone. Mm-hmm. And he had a direct Paco male, and he was breeding, doing his Amstaff thing. And he wanted something different. I think his male had passed away. So we went into looking up dogs, and somehow we circled back into the Bullmastiff. Well, doing research, we found a lady in Caroline County named Beverly Shoup, and I think somebody you interviewed mentioned her before. I think it's a guy with the presses or something. But she was a breeder in Caroline County. Mm-hmm. And she had this dog. We go out there to see her. And she had this dog named PT Cruiser. And it was San Aura's PT Cruiser. And I've not seen a lot of dogs in my life that make me say, wow. You know, it's just mind-blowing, right? So I look at this, and we go out there, and she's like, oh, let me show you the dog. And we go to this kennel, and there's this red behemoth of a dog that's, you know, this huge head, and he's very toned and muscular, you know. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. And my partner, he looks at me, he's like, wow, you know. And so we ended up getting some dogs from her. And, you know, he and I had a, you know, disagreement a little later and parted ways, and, you know, the dogs passed or whatever. And I got into bulldogs. And I got into the bulldogs, but the bulldogs were, you know, the English, you know, and they had their little problems and breathing and all of this stuff, man. And you try to walk the dog up the block, and he's like, ah. And the crazy thing about him was he wouldn't walk up the block, but he would get out of my yard sometimes and be 3 blocks over. And I'm like, well, how are you going to, you know, it's the craziest thing, man. But, so, you know, I decided to change, and I asked my wife, I said, well, out of the dogs we had, which one did you like the best? And she talked about the Bullmastiff. So I started researching again, and I found a lady in Tennessee, Ashley Pope. And she had, I talked to another guy in Canada that was a breeder in Canada, bull stock line, Ian Robertson. And we talked back and forth, and, you know, but then I found this lady in Tennessee, and I ended up going with her. So, and I ended up getting a breeding pair from her. And here we are today.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How many dogs do you have on your yard now?
I have, let me see, 6. 6? Yeah.
And you still have your Roddy Bullmastiff crosser? That was from back then?
No, that was years ago, man. That was 90. That was like 98.
Okay, I got you. Where are you located?
I got rid of that dog, man. It's a funny story. I was walking him, and my neighbor, and we were talking, and I'm standing there with the dog, and we're talking. I'm talking to my neighbor, and the dog cocks his legs up and pees on my leg. I was like, shit. Yeah, you got to go, dude, because you don't respect me at all. You can pee on me.
Yeah.
So,
where are you located?
I am in Richmond, Virginia.
Gotcha. How's the weather up there? Is it getting cold? It's moderate. You know, it's an in-between state, so it's, you know, not too cold. It can get cold, but, you know, it can get hot too. So, right. But it's a moderate state. Is that a red state or a blue state? How are the gun laws there?
It is a blue state.
Okay, so you can't really get the guns up there, huh?
You can get them.
I mean, but, yeah, you know, you can get them, but I mean, yeah. I don't know. At some point, I'd really like to be mobile. I'd really like to kind of take all the interviews from the channel and go redo them in person. I always thought that'd be so cool to do.
Wow.
Because I got such a nice camera. I got all the stuff to do it. It's just like, you know, taking the plunge, you know, getting the money right, taking the plunge, and actually re-interviewing everybody in person and filming their dogs and whatnot. I always thought that'd be cool. So I always ask,
wow.
is that a state where I could bring my toys, or do I gotta, bring a machete instead or something like that? The world.
You can bring your toys, man, but
I gotta check. I mean, I got a license here, but I don't. I know that some states honor it. I'm just not sure which.
Yeah, we have an open carry, but if you can seal.
Oh, you got an open carry.
Yeah, we have open carry.
Oh well, that.
Yeah.
Then yeah, that's good. And if
but if you can seal, you have to have a permit. So.
Right. I'm just wondering if they honor my concealed permit here. That's something I'd have to look up.
I don't know. Yeah, you might have to check with them on that one.
So, walk me through some of the things you do with your dogs on a day-to-day.
I get them a lot of exercise, give them some run time in the yard, about an hour and a half, and doing feeding and cleaning up and everything. I have some, where they're not a dog that has to have that high exercise,
Right.
You may have your pits and Malinois and things like that, but I can do flirt pole. I do a lot of flirt pole with them. Throw the ball, do sprints, and stuff like that. Go on long walks. I got about a 3-mile walk a loop that I do with them. So.
Oh, that's cool. Now, are they like are they tolerant of the cold and of the heat?
Well, they can tolerate the cold, not too cold. They are heat sensitive, and now with that, it also depends on how your dogs are bred. How the bullmastiff, because a lot of different dogs, in the bullmastiff, it's within that line, but you have variations. So, in your heat, warmer climates, a lot of people like California and this and that, they use a lot of the clean dogs. The muzzles are a little longer. Down south, but the best thing is to make sure that you have really good open nostrils, and if you got to gauge your area. You got to know where you are. Up north, it probably doesn't have humidity. Don't have that, so the heat may not really be a factor. Down south, it doesn't really get cold, so dogs may change. I have had dogs that pass from heat strokes. Yeah, it's and with the heat too, you have to be mindful of the weight.
Yeah.
You got to be mindful of the weight. But we always know that. For me, I gauge it. If it's too hot for me, it's too hot for my dog.
Right.
That's just my motto. Some people like their dog out and, it's 105. Well, if it's 105, your dog can't sweat.
Right.
So you got to add 15 degrees to that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it really 105 to him? Or, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That's
but he's not gonna go outside and I let my dog go to the bathroom and he's gonna 3 minutes later, my dog is dead.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but he's not gonna spend all day out in 100 degrees weather and running and jumping and everything, because he's gonna go lay down, because they're pretty much a dog that observes and watch. but yeah, they can be heat sensitive. But you just got to know your dog.
Now,
You know?
a bull mastiff is considered more of a guardian than a personal protection dog, correct?
Well, yes and no to that question. Now, what the history of the dog is, they were bred for the gamekeeper, right? The gamekeepers needed to protect the game, and whatever the poachers would come and try to steal, right?
Right.
So they bred the dog to be able to hold the poacher down, attack the poacher, grab. Oh, they're not going to maul the guy, but they were supposed to be able to grab and detain them and hold them until the gamekeeper got to them. Now, the part of this story that a lot of people leave out is the poacher actually didn't come alone. He came with his dog. So, what the bullmastiff had to do first was take out the dog and wrestle and attack this dog, and then he has to go chase the poacher. So he has two jobs to do in this time frame.
Gotcha.
Now, by this time, the poacher is through the woods. So imagine this dog getting into a full-blown battle with another dog and then have enough to stop and chase the poacher and wrestle with him. Because the guy, he's not going to just let the dog bite him, and he's going to fight, kick, scrape, beat the dog, So they had they had a pretty good job. But excuse me, they will do the protection work.
Okay.
They will do it. There's some people that do,
Have you ever gotten involved with that personally?
I have not. I would like to take, one of my dogs and put him out in that field and see what he does, and work with him. But, it's kind of hard to just find a good trainer and everything, and,
Right.
So, but that's something that I am looking into right now.
I got
So,
you. What does your feeding regiment look like?
I use a kibble.
Yeah.
Dry kibble. But also I incorporate a lot of different things. Your chicken livers and gizzard, beef livers, vegetables, fruits, olive oil, some apple cider vinegar, sardines. For a lot of omega,
Yeah, sardines are cheap too.
What's that?
I said sardines are pretty cheap too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a lot of them.
Yeah. And so I try to put a little different stuff in over time to just kind of because it's the same thing every day, I got a guy to me next door that he has duck eggs. So, I get some duck eggs and crack one or two and put them in their food, But now with the recall on a lot of foods, it's crazy, and it's almost better and cheaper to actually go raw.
Yeah, are you talking about like the Victor recall?
Yeah, I was on the Victor, but I was on the Victor. I was on a teal bag before, and I switched from the teal bag to the Max Pro 5.
Right. Yeah, I was on Victor myself, and I heard about it on Facebook first, and then I go to Tractor Supply, and it's actually not there, and they're talking about salmonella. I'm like, dogs don't get salmonella. Like, what, how? I was just talking about this to Carl Burton on the last interview.
Yeah.
Dogs don't get salmonella. They can't get salmonella. We feed them raw chicken legs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to get salmonella, man. I mean,
Yeah.
and even us as humans, we touch so many surfaces that probably have every virus you could think of already.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's, you touch a door handle, you know.
Oh, man.
I mean, that...
Man, just going to a public bathroom, man, you know?
There's some kitchens I've worked in, man, I shit you not, like... They wouldn't, it's almost like some people just don't even think about it. Like, they would be touching raw meat and then touching the burger bun with the same hand or the same glove.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, now, and it did gross me out, I'm not going to lie. But I wonder how many times I've went and sat down and ate somewhere and there was salmonella.
Man, if you really thought about it, man, It's driving me crazy.
You know, that's why I never, I'll never modify anything on a menu or ask for something special or send any food back. I do not want to piss off the people in the kitchen.
Exactly,
No,
man.
oh, I said no tomato, but it's cool. No, I'll take it off myself. No big deal. And I'm still going to leave a nice tip. Like, I just don't want the food messed with. Those guys are busy enough. They sent it out the way they sent it out. I mean, if the burger still has a pulse, I'm not going to eat it, obviously. I'm not going to eat a rare burger, but I don't know, man. A recall because of salmonella, that just sounds so ridiculous to me.
Yeah. But the thing about it is it's not just Victor. It's, you know, you see I've seen like sports mix. And I'm like, how did this get messed up? You know, there was another food in Tractor Supply, and I'm like, you know what? And the cost of the kibble is actually constantly going up, and they're actually making the bag smaller.
Yeah, absolutely. I've noticed that over the last few years.
Yeah, like I was on Exceed from Sam's Club. Wow, man, this had to been about 10 years ago, and they used to have a 44-pound bag. The chicken and rice was the chicken and rice was $19. The lamb and rice was $17, and this was 44 pounds. A bag, okay. Then they go away for a little bit, and they say, oh, we have problems with the bags. They come back, then it's $24, $26, you know, and it's, you know, $27, $29. And you're like, okay, it's still 44 pounds for $30, you know, that's not bad, you know, until they went to $36 and a 35-pound bag. And I was like, okay, that's enough for that.
Yeah, man. So, a bag of Victor, the Victor dog food, the big bags at Tractor Supply are close to $80, and like $70-something for a bag of Victor. And when I couldn't find Victor, I'm trying the Pro 89. Is that what it is?
The Diamond.
Yeah.
The Diamond Pro 89, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying that out. They seem to like it. The stool seems alright. They're not, like, putting on weight or taking weight off or anything like that, so it seems to be working alright. But even that bag was, like, $78. And it was just like, damn, it's just higher and higher and higher. I was on regular Diamond for a while, and I noticed that over 3 years' time, because I remember I was on Diamond for a long time, and the big bag went up $10, and then I noticed it was not as heavy later on, or the seal was like, it just, the bag itself wasn't as big, so I started really checking the weight. I'm like, wait, I thought this was a 50-pound bag.
Right.
And, yeah, you're right. But we love our dogs, right? So
we love them, man. I'm actually trying out this what is it, the Inukshuk. I got a guy that's selling it. You buy it on Chewy's, $95 a bag, but he gets it and he sells it for like $65, $70 a bag. But the calorie and the protein intake is like 32. So you really don't have to feed that much. And I can see a difference with a lot of waste, less waste. But even though, man, that's still, $70, $80, $90 a bag when, I can get 20 pounds of chicken and, some beef and vegetables and all of that and probably $40, $50 a week,
Right.
So, yeah. And it's a lot better for them to get the raw, You don't have all of that stuff, and you can add in your supplements, your vitamin C, your bone meal, your eggshell powder, stuff like that. You can add in yourself, man, and probably get a lot better results. So,
yeah, I mean, there was a time I fed raw for just a couple months, and I wasn't very scientific about it. I just about a burger patty, a thick burger patty of like ground beef, a chicken leg quarter, some blueberries, some chicken gizzards, hearts, kidneys, chicken feet. And then I'd crack an egg over it. But the problem with me is it was time consuming. Like I'd have to pick one day a week, fill up all the Ziploc bags, get them into the freezer, remember each night to pull one out of the freezer, or they're just going to be chewing on a block. And they loved it, and it had great results. I mean, the Rottweiler I had back then, man, I mean, he looked more chiseled and more muscular than I've ever seen him. And I mean, they would act like straight crackheads as soon as they knew it was feeding time.
Yeah.
Like I mean, of course they're excited to eat. Even kibble, they're excited to eat. But I mean, it's to the point where they're trembling, like, oh my God, just give it to me. They're fucking. They got sharp teeth. They want some flesh and blood, man.
Yeah, man. They're carnivores, man. They want to eat.
Yeah.
You gotta. When you think of dogs, you gotta think of the wolf.
Absolutely.
And how does the wolf eat? How does the wolf survive?
Yeah.
And when you start researching different things, you learn better, and you learn. I mean, I'm always trying to learn. I never stop trying to learn.
Absolutely.
And I talk to a lot of people, man, that I like information. I'm a person that likes information. So I talk to a lot of different people and try to get as much information. And then I take bits and pieces and I try it. And if this works for me, it works. If it doesn't, then I got to figure out something else, Yeah. But that's it in a nutshell there. So,
I remember when the veterinarians were saying that garlic was bad for dogs. And then I had these, I'll never forget it. It was these mechanics that had a shop down the street from me. And they had dogs out, in that gated area. And they're like, no, we feed them garlic a lot, especially in the summer. It keeps away fleas, ticks.
Keeps the fleas and ticks, Because they don't like the blood. They don't like it in the bloodstream.
Yeah, the mosquitoes, they don't end up with any worms that are in the gut. Well, the garlic takes care of that. And they're not going to get heartworms because the mosquitoes don't want to be around them, So I've never had an issue with garlic. In fact, I've fed garlic sometimes in... I seen this one guy, actually, that was clever. He took a full chicken breast and just stuck full garlic cloves in the chicken breast and just threw it to the dogs.
Wow.
And I was just like, man, that's genius. And he's like, you do this 2-3 times a week and they won't have an issue with any worms, any fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, nothing. I was like, man, that's genius.
Yeah. Carrots is a good dewormer too. Really? I use diatomaceous earth.
I actually have a bag of that.
Yeah, the food grade, and sprinkle a little bit of that in there, on their food, and that's supposed to help flush out. I give my dogs, like we eat spinach and stuff, so sometimes I just grab some spinach and throw it in there, and the foliage, to help flush out and sweep the intestines and stuff. But yeah, I haven't done the mukbang. I don't even know how to say it, but I think that's right. Like a rabbit in the fur and everything. I've seen some people do it, but I don't know where to get a rabbit from. And I'm scared to just pop one out here in the wild and give it to them because of the diseases. So,
I mean, I'd say as long as your dog is good and wormed out and vaccinated, and I mean, rabies is such a rare thing now. In most places it doesn't even exist anymore. But
okay.
Well, that's what I've heard. Don't completely quote me on that, but everybody I've talked to, who I would ask about, do you do rabies vaccines? Everybody does the 5-way or the 7-way, prevent from parvo and all that. But
right.
A lot of guys
and stuff, yeah.
I've talked to a lot of guys who said, no, we never did the rabies shot. I don't think I've heard of rabies out here, or it's never been, or it's been so long since there was any kind of outbreak among the wild game. But I mean, me personally, if I'm in a situation where, like I said, I'm a survivalist, by just a hobby survivalist, but it's the way my mind works. If I'm ever out in the woods and the dogs run out of their pouches of dog food, and we're having rabbit tonight,
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I would worry about is boar or pig. Like sometimes, because they'll just eat anything, they'll ingest anything. I don't know. Sometimes, I've heard guys say that when it comes to boar meat, they'll at least boil it first, and they won't let them have the bones or anything. They'll just boil the meat and the organs and give it to them. But
wow,
I don't know why. I didn't study up enough on that one. Is there any supplements? Yeah. Any supplements you're using for your dogs?
I like to do natural stuff. I try to stay natural, man, because when you add a lot of things in it. So like I say, I do the bone meal. I did the antler meal, just ground it up, and then all this stuff is powdered. And I did eggshells powder. But I tried. I put a little, coconut oil and stuff like that in there, and to try to. But I like to stay natural.
Absolutely.
With them, because it's a lot, man. Especially with dog food, already you got preservatives and all this other stuff that's in it, and vitamins. So, you get a multivitamin, and I haven't had any problems. So.
Right. What did you say? That was the first time I heard somebody use carrots. Would you say the carrots were used for?
Carrots are like a natural dewormer.
Okay. That's another one. I never heard of that. No, I'm going to have to, I got to write that down on my list of hacks.
Yeah. I heard one of your interviews, man, and the guy was telling, he was talking about mushrooms. And I'm like, what? Mushrooms? I never heard of that, but, I looked it up and, hey. So, that's what I say. I always look for information, man.
Absolutely.
Always.
Why deprive yourself, especially the more, and I don't know, I look at being a student, as above all else, because, like, you're never going to stop retaining information. I mean, You read the Bible?
Yes.
Awesome. Glad to hear it.
Yes.
But even anybody who's read the Bible 20 times in their life will tell you, even if they read it again, they're going to find something new. You know, you always find new connections, new parallels, new moments. You know.
Oh yeah. Because life is always changing, man, and moments in life is changing. So, the Bible is supposed to be the living word, and the Spirit, He guides you and He tells you things. So you may read that same thing, and then you come back a week later or so, man, and it's, saying something different to you. Well, it's that what's seeing different is in that moment. So
yeah, yeah, I went back in, from time to time and listened to my own interviews and heard certain things that I didn't put together before. Like you said, it could be one single sentence,
right?
That can make everything click together. I remember just going back and listening to guys like Lee Robinson and Bruce Huffmaster, and people that are really hardcore into the genetics of their dogs, and I hear it a certain way, and then I hear it another way, and it just everything clicks. Okay, I'm starting to see a visual in my head now.
Right.
But so how would you compare the Bullmastiff to other types of Mastiffs like the English, the Neo, the Corso?
It's interesting. I had a guy call me for a pup, and he was looking into, going back to his American Bulldog, or, he wanted, Bullmastiff. He didn't know which way he wanted to go, and so when I was talking to him and I explained, I said, the one thing that I believe, and I've seen all of those dogs you named. I've seen it. I got a partner, a great friend of mine, man. He has an English Mastiff, and and I've seen a lot of other dogs, the Corsos, and so on. But what I see from the Bullmastiff is it's one of the most even tempered dogs, well balanced mindset. So when he's focused, and it's not a dog that, I can see a Corso, and he's like, he's looking at you like he's trying to kill you, and this dog is, and they're like, oh, he's okay. I'm like, nah, that's all right. Keep him over there. Yeah. But the Bullmastiff is that the dog that can decipher a threat on its own. And I had a female. My wife and I were sitting on my porch one night, and it's about the summertime, one of those summer nights, and we're just sitting out, and I'm in a rural area, so I have an acre yard, but I'm in a kind of a rural area, but at the same time, it's a neighborhood behind me, but I'm 5 minutes away from the city if I want to get to the city. But anyway, so we're sitting out, we're looking at the stars, we're just talking, and the dog is laying beside me on the porch, and she sits up, and I look, and the dog just immediately takes off. Wow. Just bolts off the front porch, right? And she's getting it, and it's dark, so I can't see nothing. So my wife was like, I'm like, well, what the hell did she go chase? I don't know what it was. And she was gone for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then she comes back, and she's trotting back, and she comes all the way back. She crawls up on the steps, on the porch, and she turns around and lay right back in the exact same spot. And just laid there like it was nothing ever happened, And that's a dog that I got as a year old, I didn't even train the dog. She didn't have papers, but she was purebred. But, you know, and she was a great dog, you know. But they can tell a threat, and if they need to let you know, they'll let you know. And if not, they're going to check you out first. So I say that to say that out of all the other master breeds, in comparison, I mean, you know what an English Mastiff is. And, I mean, some of the people like the 220s, the 240s, you know, these big dogs. And I'm not knocking nobody for their preference of dog. But, like I said, I have a great friend of mine, and he has one, and this is around 190. But his dog is athletic. His dog is actually living in Florida right now. They moved to Florida, and they got 20 acres down there. So, and he actually transformed, man. I mean, once you put these dogs in their environment and what they were intended to do, you will see a transformation. And the problem with a lot of dogs today is the dog is not, the function for the dog has actually left. You know, I don't have a 120-acre estate where my dogs are, you know, I don't have to worry about nobody coming to steal my hens and, you know, chickens and rabbits, and you know, I had to have somebody watching them every night. You know, I don't have that, and nobody lives like that. Well, I'm not saying nobody, but
right,
you know, the majority of people.
Right.
So the dogs have changed due to the lack of the function. And what I see in these dogs, and not to jump into another question or topic, but versus the States and overseas European dogs, there's a difference. There is a difference. And, you know, there's a difference in the dogs, because I look at a lot of the European breeders, and a lot of times you see them, they have that land. And when your dog has land and he can roam and do what he does, and, you know, that proper exercise and running and chasing and doing all that stuff, your dog will transform. And, you know, versus a dog that's in a cul-de-sac that doesn't, you know, he's on the sofa with the kids every day. You know what I mean? But I think they're the most, out of those master breeds, I think they're the most even-tempered.
Right. So,
you know,
are your children still living at home?
My children are grown.
Gotcha. Okay, so.
But I have grandkids, man. But you know, a couple of them. But
there you go. So how are the dogs with the young? Are they cool with the grandkids?
They're cool with them. They're good dogs, you know. But I'm still cautious. You know, I don't just let them go and then, you know, just. Because, it's, you know, dogs are like people to a degree. Sometimes they just might have a bad day. You know, this foot might hurt, you know, I don't know, might broke a toenail or something.
Right.
I don't know, but I'm always there with the young kids and my dogs. Because it's a second, man, and an accident. Dog might not mean these big dogs, you know, 140, you know, 100, you know, which... You may not mean to knock her over or knock him over, but, you know, accidents happen. But as far as my kids, they're good. They're good. They're protective, man. They are protective.
Well, and, sometimes I'll get a question, and a lot of times for some reason it comes from, well, I guess not for some reason, but a lot of times it comes from like a single mother. You know, so man, I really want to get a dog. Thinking about getting a pit bull or or a shepherd or something like that, and I always lay that on them first. Well, number one, don't be the, oh yeah, I had this dog and I left him alone with my kids all the time. Nothing ever happened. Don't be that person, because it's still an animal. You know,
it's still an animal,
and
man.
You could be the person that says, "Oh well, I never thought he would. I never." But you're the next person on the news because something tragic happened. But I did suggest, with that being said, first, I've always thought in my head that the Johnson American Bulldog or the Bullmastiff would be a better suit for that situation than some other dogs, because they do seem a little more laid back, the Bullmastiff and the Johnson. I think part of it might be because of their, how heavy they are, their size slows them down a bit, but I have seen American Bulldogs up close, and their temperament kind of reminds me of what I see on video. I've never seen a Bullmastiff purebred in person, but from what I see
wow, really?
Yeah, from what I see on video, though, their temperament is really close to the Johnson, and Johnsons are very just cool around family, cool around people. Every time I'd see one of these American Bulldogs, those types, usually he was loose in the front of the yard, wouldn't go very far, kind of just stuck around, what he knew was his property.
But that's the thing with the Bullmastiffs. They are close quarter dogs. They normally don't roam, unless they're trying to chase off a threat. But then they're right back to, they're like they're a clingy dog.
But
they're lean.
I guess my question though was, like, would you agree with that? Like, okay, single mother. Is
the Johnsons compared to the the Bullmastiff?
No, just the fact that, well, actually, yeah, that too. But just the fact that the choices I made, if I was talking to a single mother, you would agree with that, right?
I think the Johnsons would be a little too much for the single mom.
You think so?
Actually, I know, man.
I've only seen a couple in person, and yeah, go ahead.
I'm not trying to sound, male chauvinist, but a lot of people perception of the Bullmastiff is not quite right. These dogs will turn on.
Right.
And this is 140. I have a male now, and I have actually three males. One's a 8-month-old, but I have a male, and he doesn't like dogs. I had another male previous to these ones before. When I talked about, I had one when I had him before, and his name was Jericho. Jericho was 10 months old. He wouldn't start anything. He wouldn't start nothing. But if there's a dog that looks at him wrong, he's going to finish it. Yeah. I mean, he's going to finish it. We were at an expo, and a friend of mine, we were there, and we had Jericho. We took him out, just try to take him out and let people, he was a friendly dog. But, so I'm sitting in his chair. I'm taking a break, from walking around, and this lady beside me, she has a German Shepherd mix or something, and the dog is just yapping, just going crazy. And she's talking to somebody else, but she's not really paying attention to her dog. And so I had the Bullmastiff, I had Jericho. He's sitting in, I'm watching his dog, and I'm holding him. And the lady's back is turned, and she's talking, but the dog is steadily trying to, get at him. And he lunges. And when he did that, Jericho saw him, and he just, he was within inches, and I had to grab him to make sure he doesn't. But they're most of the males, man, they're not tolerant of a lot of male dogs, and they won't start anything, but they will. So what I'm saying is, you take that and you put it in the hands of a single mom.
Okay. See, I assumed based on the Johnson type American Bulldogs I've seen, like I don't particularly know the temperament of the Bullmastiff outside of what I read in the breed description. So I was just kind of putting two and two together and seeing the similarities, but I guess more so just because I wanted to get other people's opinion on, you know, my response to these questions, or my response to these emails and whatnot. I don't advise people, especially a single mother. This just happened to be a topic I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, no, I understand that, yeah.
But I don't advise, you know, a pit bull or a pit bull terrier. You know, that's a very vague term depending on who you ask or what club. Or a Malinois or a Shepherd or a Rottweiler or a Doberman. I don't suggest these breeds to a single mother, you know, with children. Just because they're so much more athletic and lightning fast compared to a really big dog. And I seen that Bullmastiffs and the Johnson dogs seem to be around families more. They seem to be on farmland a lot, and there's always, you know, kids running around. So, I mean, not that I'm saying you should stick this dog with a single mother and two, you know, small kids in an apartment or something like that. I'm saying...
Yeah, because there's always that chance with the kids, man. See, this is the thing with kids. And it may not be so much as the mom, but that kid opens the door. Boom. You know, he's out.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and it's just that incident or something that, you know, a kid comes in the backyard, he forgets to close the gate. She lets the dog out not knowing it. And, you know, anything can happen, man. And I'm not saying that women can't control a dog like that. You know, for anybody, research the dogs. Research every dog. Go see the dogs, and decide for themselves if, you know, if that's something that they can handle.
Right. Right.
On top of that, you have to put in the obedience work.
100%. And not only that, let me add another point to that for the listeners, because I get this email so often. For anybody that, you know, has small children and you're going to select from a litter, which that's what I suggest. If you're looking for something very, you know, I'm not trying to shit on the shelters. I think it's good to get a rescue dog if you can, whatever. But
Absolutely.
when you have kids, I think it's best to pick a puppy from a litter. You want the calmer demeanor. The one that's just kind of chilling in the back of the litter, you know. Just like, hi, but, you know, while the other dogs are trying to climb your legs, or, well, the other puppies are trying to climb your legs or whatever, there's one that's just kind of back there chilling. That one tends to be your more patient, more kind of relaxed dog. If you notice that the puppy stays that way the entire time, that might be a good choice for, like I said, a single mother, or even a vulnerable person, like, in general, you know. I've been kind of on this kick lately, you know, where, you know, battle bred concepts, I want it to revolve kind of around, you know, nobody should live in fear. And so that's kind of why I wanted to bring this topic up. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a single mother, or, you know, it could be a girl who's in college, you know, and has a little apartment but lives alone and, you know, gets weirded out at night by the neighbors or some shit. You know, it could be anything. An older gentleman who lives alone, you know, who just needs that extra, you know, don't fuck around, you won't find out kind of thing. I don't know. I think that the temperament of those two breeds listed could fit that criteria because, again, the medium to large dogs still have just a lot of power behind them, and they're and they'll and how should I say?
Boxer's a nice fit too. You know, boxers. I've had a boxer before.
Oh, I didn't think of that one. Yeah, that is a good. That's another good one.
You're talking like 85, 90-pound boxer. You know, maybe some that hit 100. Mine was about 95. But that's a great dog, and it determines on the breeder. So the breeder should always know, like, hey, what is your lifestyle? What are you looking for? What are you are you really active? Sure. Because if you're active, then this dog may be, for you. The one that's kind of just lounging may not be the one that, because each litter, the dogs have their own personality. Mm-hmm. So you have to kind of match that personality with the person that wants to buy that dog.
Well, let me get your thoughts on this then. Okay, now that we're on that topic. Okay, we added the boxer, right? Which every boxer I've met has been an absolute sweetheart around children. Every single one. I've met a good deal of boxers.
Yeah.
But but when I walk in the house, these dogs don't even know me, and they're coming right up to me like a wiggle butt. That makes me doubt that they might. And now, what's your thoughts on this? That makes me doubt.
Oh no!
Do you think they're a guaranteed bite?
Yes, I know for sure. I know certainly.
Yeah.
I had a boxer try to tear my head off, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
The guy, his boxer was in his yard, man. We were all about a yard, man, and actually it was 2 times.
The same dog?
No, not the same dog. 2 different scenarios, but it was the same. It was a boxer both times. Mm-hmm. My boxer, he would he wasn't the friendliest, but
gotcha.
Yeah, I mean,
now I had a boxer cross a long time ago. And it was a straight American Pit Bull Terrier boxer, and her name was Precious. And this was a long time ago. This girl just kind of abandoned her apartment and just had to find a place for her 2 dogs. And I liked the female, so I took her. But I thought that was the pit bull coming out of her. There was this, how they say, trust your dog. Trust your dog. You know what I mean? If they don't like somebody.
Right.
I had the recording studio in my house, and so people would come over, pay to record. I had guys that I did songs with, and there was this one guy in particular that she just didn't like, man. She would get up on her he would be sitting down. She would get up on her hind legs, like standing in his face, like inches from his face, growling and barking at him. Like, this guy here, no, She was sweet to everybody else. And and then she ended up attacking one of my other dogs, a male dog at that, just for playing with her. Like, because she was eating and he was bouncing at her. Like, he wasn't trying to go near her food, and she jumped on him. She fucked him up a little bit, but sorry about my language, but
nah, that's cool.
Anyway,
but yeah, that's
I thought that came from her pit bull side. I was like, well, I know.
No, man, the boxer was actually, the boxer was a fighting dog.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean,
they were pit dogs.
Right, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, I thought the boxer came so far from that because every other boxer I've ever met was just like, what did they say? All tongue, no bite. Because all they do is, just lick your hands and your arms till you're soaked, and try to get to your face.
I'm not saying all of them are that way, and it's these dogs have a DNA code that's embedded in them. Now, whether you choose to bring it out or suppress it is your choice.
Sure.
And the own choice of the owner. So some people may bring out that in the dog. Some people may try to suppress it. Mm-hmm. Some dogs have it, some dogs don't. And I'm not even going to say every dog is, going to just, maul somebody. But if it's bred in them, it's there. But it depends on the owner. Are you willing to bring it out, or do you want to suppress it?
All right. So
but it's in there.
I guess to answer the question then for the listeners, people who are thinking of getting a dog and the people who feel vulnerable but need a handleable dog, I guess we'll say the Bullmastiff and the Johnson are good dogs. The Boxer, we need to do more research on. I won't give it a no anymore after hearing that you've seen two that were...
Three. Actually, I own one.
You owned one. You've seen two others that were killers. Because, I mean, if somebody's vulnerable, somebody kicks in the front door, you don't want a dog that's going to try to run and hide in the closet. You want the dog to be about his business.
But that goes to a question you asked me earlier.
Okay.
And I said the dogs are different today than they were then. And that's the difference. I like a dog with a little edge on him.
Sure.
Not to say nothing, to nobody listening or whatever.
No. Battle bred concepts. We like?
I will say this, man.
We like dogs.
What you don't see in a lot of breeders today is a lot of men. Nothing to the ladies, so don't come for my neck. But you don't see a lot of men, and I think what's happening is that testosterone from men breeding dogs is the element that's gone. I'm just gonna try to clean that up as much as I can without
No, not at all. In fact,
without getting attacked by the women. You were saying the women can't breed. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, when you look at the dogs today, right, and you look at most of your working breeds, if you watch the shows, right, the dog shows, and then, I watch all the shows and everything, but with the description of the dogs, and they talk about it, it used to be this and it's this and that, we don't breed for that anymore. And I'm not saying fighting dogs, I'm not condoning that.
Right.
I'm not that person. I can't even really watch it, but it's that the manliness of the dog. That it's gone.
It's gone in a lot of breeds. I think you're 100% correct on that.
It's gone in a lot of breeds, man. And they try to take these dogs and you want to shell, so they like the appearance of the dog, but they don't want the part of the dog that made the dog that they were breeding for. I have a as well. I got a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. He's 2 years old. I got him. I don't know, but I got him. And he's a great dog. I got a dog from Colorado. And he's a great dog. He listens, but he doesn't like my males. And he goes out, I let him out, man. He runs straight to him. And I mean, he's a firecracker, man. I took him to a show recently. I don't know if you're familiar with Chris and Gina Moore. Bulky built bulldogs, eye bulldogs.
Nope.
They have oldies. Anyway,
that's another person I haven't interviewed yet either. Is anybody who has oldies?
Yeah, he has some pretty good oldies. He's a great program. Yeah, he's a great program. But I took my staffy, and it was an ABKC show, and the American Bullies, and stuff and all that was out there. And the first half of the show, my staff, he was fine. He can go around, he walk around, and I put him up for a second, and then I took him back out. And when I took him out the second time, he tried to hit everything out there, man. Bang, 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 and I'm like, but I can't say nothing because that's a Staffy.
Mm.
They are high intense dogs. They are drive. They can't. You know, I used to watch. I do a lot of research, and there's a video with old time video with Joe Mallon. They used to have Gentleman's Gym.
Okay.
And what he said was, if your Staffy is not barking at another dog, it's a problem. It's not a Staffy shot, you know.
Mhm. Well, I mean.
So. But that element is in him. Do I want him to attack another dog? No, of course not. I'm not, you know. So I have to, you know, be cautious of what he is and what he's capable of getting into. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that element is in him. So many people want the dog without the element. It's like you're buying a car with no interior.
Right.
You know, so you're getting a shell of the dog, and then the people that they're saying, oh, well, those dogs they're not like the dogs of old. They're not like, they're not, because a lot of people are trying to breed away from the one element that it is. You know, you want a bullmastiff to be a Chihuahua. Well, he's not going to be a Chihuahua. Mm-hmm. Because he's a bullmastiff. I mean, dude, he's a guard dog. He's a protector. He's a defender. Mm-hmm. So why would I want him to be anything less than what he's supposed to be?
Right. I was going to say earlier, when you said your Staffy Bull was coming out and just biting and snapping, trying to hit everything, if I purposely got a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, I would want him to act like a Staffordshire Bull Terrier.
That's what he is, man. He's 100%. I mean, he's my pocket. You know, my
your little
380. You know, your little travel. Because a lot of people don't like big dogs, and if you travel or whatever, and I don't travel that much, but I can. You know, I run to Lowe's and Home Depot, or I can take a trip, and I go to a restaurant, and that's dog friendly. And if I walk in there with a 150-pound bullmastiff, a lot of people are gonna be like, wait a minute, But when I walk in there with a Staffy, because he's like 25 pounds, probably, 13 inches tall, he's like, but so he's a good dog.
I think you're right. Going back to you mentioned, we'll just say testosterone. In today's society, I think men are afraid to be men in a lot of areas. If you watch my interview with my buddy Paul at Be the Ox, we had that was the biggest part of the conversation. That was actually the first Battlebred Concepts interview after we changed from Battlebred Canines to Battlebred Concepts. That was the first interview that wasn't about dogs. And he's like, man, men it's not the way it was back in, say, 50 years ago, where
50.
Yeah.
Try 30, 20.
Where a man could just go get a decent job, have enough to buy a house, pay the bills, take care of his family, and have a little extra afterwards. It's not that way. And I think there's a few reasons behind that. And I think the dog thing is a symptom of it. But I think, a few of the causes are, number one, the more society's trying to take the Bible out of everything, the more chaotic everything is becoming. Men think they can get pregnant and have periods now. I don't know where this is coming from. This is Battlebred. This is Battlebred Concepts, and this is just what we are over here. We don't give a shit. Yeah, men can't have babies or get periods. Get over it. Cancel me. Fuck.
Oh man.
Anyway, so I think you're right on that. Everything has to be, just cute and attractive looking. Yeah, I want this dog, and especially like the people who, like, the ones they usually call bullies pit bulls still. Even though they're 120 pounds and as wide as they are, tall.
different dogs, and then bully. That's a whole nother conversation. But, I am in Virginia, so this is the home of the American bully.
But it's like the people who still call that a pit bull, and they're just he doesn't fight any dog. No, he gets along with everybody. No, he just kind of hangs out on the couch. He goes out for, it's like, yeah, but you're calling it a pit bull, and you're taking away everything that is. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there's two types of pit bull: the UKC, the ADBA, the show type, the sport type, and that's fine. We can all see that's crystal clear. And you got the Staffordshire Terrier and the Staffy Bull, and there's all these separations. But you say the word pit bull, it's like, well, no, he's going to get along with all my other dogs, and sometimes they do. But you leave the two males alone, and you come back, and one of your males...
Yeah, they're going to meet at the water bowl one day.
Yeah, you think, I leave him at home all day. You come home, your other male dog, whatever it was, is dead, and your pit bull's like, hi! Yeah, it's like that. Those genes will come out, especially, in that sense. And that's why, hell, you see less and less of the working types of all these dogs. What breed was Lee talking about? Oh, the Husky. He said, you look at the Huskies today, yeah, they're beautiful, the Huskies we see, but those aren't, from Alaska weight-pulling Huskies or sled-pulling Huskies. They don't even look alike anymore. Those dogs over there don't have those bright, almost white eyes. Like, they don't have that.
No. It's changing. It's absolutely a change in the dogs. But once again, it's when you don't have the dog to do what it's intended to do, it's going to change. Like, okay, for instance, how many videos, and I'm sure you research a lot of dogs, how many Irish wolfhounds have you seen in the woods chasing a wolf?
0. Absolutely.
But that's what they were bred for, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't see any videos of them doing that.
Right.
You don't see any, well, not saying any, but how many percentages of Great Danes do you see grabbing hogs?
I've never seen it.
Yep. But see, that's what they're bred for.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going? But how many videos and pictures and stuff, you see a Great Dane laying on the sofa, he's laying on the couch, he's laying on a pad on the floor, the Irish Wolfhound is, and it's like, but you don't see the dogs doing what they were intended to do. And that's because man created dogs. So men were what? Hunters, gatherers, going out in the field, right?
Yeah.
Well, I needed a dog to go and assist me in the work.
Yeah.
So now, when you, like I say, once again, when you take the testosterone and it's taken out of the breeding, you kind of lose the dog. Mm-hmm. I like a dog with an edge on it. I like it. And speaking of American bullies, Fabian Chichester with Remy. Mm-hmm. And I watched his video, and he was talking, and I seen his documentary, and he's like,
an interview with him.
Remy's not a dog you're just gonna walk up on.
Right, that's a man's dog.
It's a man's dog. It's a man's dog, and that was so true, man.
Yeah, you know what? Fabian's a good friend of mine. We talk here and there. I did the interview with him, and I did the Remy line video as well. And I gotta say, Remy was definitely my favorite American bully. Yeah. Everything about it.
But Fabian doesn't call him an American bully.
Yeah, I know. That's the funniest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he sees him as more of a pit bull, and that just kind of goes back to there's UKC show type, But I'll always see Remy as a bully, unless The one thing I would change of Remy is I would want him to be the exact same measurement wide, but just jack him up 2-3 inches. If he was the same measurement wide, but jack him up 3 inches, he would resemble more of a working pit bulldog, you know, or an Amstaff almost. But that would be, for me, that would be the perfect looking. I mean, his color, everything. That would be the perfect bully in my opinion. And I love that he said, "This is a man's dog." I don't want, me personally, and that's another reason I built this channel, is I don't want a friendly dog. You know, I want him to be friendly to who he's supposed to be friendly to. But if he doesn't know you and I don't know you, I don't want you running up on my dog just thinking, oh, how cute. And you know what? No, I want him to want to bite you. That's why I have him. I grew up in a rough neighborhood, and we had dogs because we had to have dogs. And that's where my love grew for them. And I always see them as, you know, more of an asset than even a firearm. I mean, I love my firearms, but I see a dog as way more of an asset than a firearm in so many ways. A better nose, absolutely, better hearing, better sight. They can wake up a lot quicker than I can and go right to work if they have to, you know.
And it's the bark that really, you know, once, if anybody's around your house, man, they hear a dog and of substantial size or whatever, or any dog that barks for real.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You know, they're gonna think twice because they don't know what's on the other side of that door. And if that dog is barking, they don't know what you have in that house behind that door. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you may have a rocket, man, and they coming in if they want to, but
unless the person knows your dog and breaks into your house, then you just need a new set of friends.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree with that. I like to talk about a little bit more of the history with the Bullmastiff and where these dogs are. What I would like to see, a lot better looking dogs. As far as and the dogs, like I say again, but they depend on your region. Mm-hmm. You know, you're up north, you're gonna have your bullier type dogs. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have cleaner dogs in warmer climate and out west and stuff like that. Maybe up north you may have the bullier types, but and there's a problem with the dogs, but the history of them is, and a lot of people don't know about the Bullmastiff. When they created them, they actually have bloodhound in them. Some of them. Mm-hmm. That's where the red comes from, and the Bordeaux. The dogs some of the dogs went extinct. They used the Bullmastiff to recreate the English Mastiff. There's a lot of things that people didn't know with that.
I always thought it was the other way around. I always thought the English Mastiff was crossed to like a bulldog or something.
That was the original, okay. But the English Mastiff started to die off. And they didn't have a lot of them, and they needed to kind of bring the gene pool back. So they had to use the closest thing, which is the Bullmastiff, to recreate the English Mastiff. And there's two books that I read, and one of them is the Bullmastiff Manual, and the other one is the Bullmastiff, the Peerless Protector. And those are really great books. If anybody wants to purchase and read up on them, I suggest them. It gives you a lot of history on them and everything, and you know. But they, like I said, they used the Bullmastiff to recreate the English Mastiff. And actually, there was one period in the 20s in England where the dog, depending on how it looked, they would register the dog as this or that. So it could be, if it looked like an English Mastiff, they would register it as an English Mastiff. If it looked like a Bullmastiff, they would register as a Bullmastiff. So now you have these dogs that are the same litter, same dog, registered different. And now you're breeding people are breeding these dogs, well, genetics are genetics. Once you put those in it, those are genetics that are being passed on.
Mm-hmm.
So now because if you ever notice, you see some English Mastiffs that look like Bull Mastiffs.
Yeah, I've seen a few English Mastiffs with like the bigger, like bulldog head.
Yeah.
And then some of them just, don't have that. And I've always wondered why that is.
Well, that's because they use the Bull Mastiff to recreate the English. Yeah.
That's interesting.
But there's a lot of things, like the Bull Mastiff is I sent you a picture of one that they sent to South Africa. Well, that's where they incorporated into the bauble.
Mm-hmm.
And, you got that breed based off the Bull Mastiff. But, I guess the heat in South Africa, the Bull Mastiff really wasn't tolerant, so they had to recreate it. Now, whether they added the Ridgeback and all of that stuff in there, you hear a lot of different stories on that, but I believe they put the Ridgeback, and who knows
sense.
what other dog.
It definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, my boar bull, Yoshi, he has a longer muzzle, but his head's so fat that it doesn't matter, It still looks like a good bulldog snout,
Right.
But yeah, there was times when it was 90 degrees out and he'd go lay in the grass. I'm like, dude, no, we're not doing this. Use the bathroom and come back in. Like, how do you like this heat? I can't stand it.
Yeah, but that's what they were bred for. They were bred to tolerate the heat. And, the Ridgeback is bred to tolerate the heat. So, when they incorporated it, I guess they try to breed more of the Ridgeback blood in there and kind of make it a lot tolerant of it. So, but yeah, the Bull Mastiff is an interesting dog, man. It's one of the most underrated. Doesn't get the respect it deserves.
Right.
It does not, man. As far as an athlete, and like I say, you can. Some dogs have it, some dogs don't, and you can make the dog to a degree. He's not going to be like a game blood pit bull.
Mm-hmm.
That terrier, because the terrier is not in him.
Mm-hmm.
The determination comes from the terrier of the pit bull, not the bulldog.
Right.
So the Bull Mastiff doesn't have terrier in him. So he doesn't have that, I got to get it, that determination. Like you said, the dogs, when you're feeding like crackheads, he doesn't fiend for it like a terrier would.
Right.
My Staffy, he's a terrier. He's every bit of a terrier, and he's a dog that, he's like he's biting his nails. It's like on pins and needles. If he can't, if he can't do this, he can't do that. He's like, oh, I just gotta have it. And the Bull Mastiffs, they are like, all right, I'm gonna do it when I want to.
Right.
If I don't want to, then I don't want to do it. But I do like to see more of the athletic side of the Bull Mastiff come out, and more dogs. I think they're going too far with the Mastiff. And this dog is from one of the most original bulldogs. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason Dave Levitt used it in his oldie bulldog program.
Right.
It was between the Bull Mastiff and the Boxer. And he wanted to which one of the dogs that would go trace back to the original bulldog. So when the Boxer has some kind of sickness that causes epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened to my Boxer. He caught a seizure and he passed. but so he didn't want to use the boxer, so he went to the bullmastiff. And if now, what does that say about a guy that wants to create a healthy bulldog that uses a bullmastiff?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
He wants to create a better bulldog, and he used the bullmastiff. So what does that say about that dog?
Right.
You know, you can't compare them. And that's the problem that a lot of people have. You can't compare these dogs.
Right.
Because they're all different in their own way.
Mm.
A Corso is bred down from a Neo, but he's not a Neo.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? He's not a Neo.
Let me ask you this. But have you ever considered going outside and crossing your bull mastiffs to something else?
I'm not a wow. I'm not against crossbreeds.
Mm.
It has to make sense.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm all about crossbreeds. I feel like the kennel clubs are getting so old and pure breeds are getting so fucked up. Forgive my French. That I wanted. That's why I crossbred, to get the litter I got. I mean, I waited like 10 years before I did it because I wanted something exact. But I don't know. I've studied Jeet Kune Do for so many years, and one thing you learn from Bruce Lee, obviously, is, not sticking to the script. And I've been encouraging certain people, that have, that can look at the breed they're in and say, man, I really don't like this. Okay, fine. Take something else, cross it with your shit, put your name on it, and now it's your own. Fuck the rest of them.
I agree with that. And I'm gonna touch back on what you just said with the kennel clubs. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing: I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, the show ring ruined the dogs." It's not the show ring. Mm-hmm. You have to show your dog to gauge. There's a template. Okay, you live in a house, right? You have.
Yeah.
So and somebody built your house. Now they had a blueprint. Mm-hmm. Right? And when they built your house, they went by the specifications of that blueprint. Now, once you're inside your house, you can tweak it how you want to tweak it. You may, I'll change my wall, here, and I'll put this wall over there, or I need this window, this type of window this way. You can tweak it a little bit, but it's still within the format of that house.
Okay, I see.
Blueprint.
I can see.
You get what I'm saying?
I can see what you're getting at. Yeah.
Now, so for the show ring, you have to. What should happen is that dog should be able to go from the field to the show ring to the couch. Mm-hmm. The show ring is the gauge. Am I on track with what the dog? Because and people are the dog community probably ripped me apart for saying this, but it is what it is.
That's the idea.
People that say, I like a walking dog, I don't care what it looks like. Well, if a dog has bad elbows, how is it going to work? Mm-hmm. If a dog is cowhock, how is it going to work? I mean, and yes, you may not need a show ring to show you that, but that's what everything goes through quality control. I don't care if you buy a car. That car went to quality control before it went out in the parking lot for you to buy it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Everything has an inspection. You bought something and they got inspector number 29 on it. Well, it was inspected. Mm-hmm. That's what the show ring does. It inspects the dogs. That's what it's supposed to do. Now, the problem in the show ring and with the show dogs is this fake sense of competition.
Explain.
Okay. Now, you buy a dog from a breeder, mm-hmm. and this is my philosophy, and most people would disagree, which dog are you going to buy first? You're going to probably buy a female, right? And they tell you should, if you're going to breed, buy a female, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, then they say, well, you got to wait 2 years for the dog to mature before you can breed, blah, 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 everything. And that's okay. But now you got this female, because a lot of people ain't going to sell you the best of the best, right? Mm-hmm. So now you buy this female. Now the dog is 2 years old. You go to breed. Now you're trying to find a stud. And these same people are telling you, hey, well, your dog doesn't meet the criteria. Your dog doesn't, I don't like this. So now you can't find a person to breed the dog to. Mm. So now you got to go and say, well, I wanted to breed. So now some of these people will go find Joe Blow with a bullmastiff that looks like a whippet. And then you're saying, well, your dogs are garbage. Your dogs look like this, and your dogs look like this garbage. Well, you gave me no choice. You're supposed to be better in the breed, but the people are given no choice, So that fake sense of competition. I'm not competing with nobody. Mm-hmm. I breed the dogs because that's what I want, and I want to breed a dog that's in the standard, but that's the best of the standard that I want to see from the, not and staying in the standard though. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Now with crossbreeding, here's the problem. I want to take a Siberian Husky to a Cane Corso. Why?
I don't see the point in that.
I mean, you're not even in the same category.
Right. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? The crossbreed has to make sense.
It's got to be, and when I think crossbreeding too, exactly, I think certain type. Now it makes perfect sense. Like me and other band dog guys do. You got some good bulldog blood, you got some good mastiff blood, but I'm pickier than that. I'm a guy that likes looks too. So a lot of people say, oh, you don't breed for looks, don't breed for looks. Fuck that. I want a dog that's going to do what I want it to do, and I want it to look good doing it.
Right, exactly.
So it's like, I took my classic bully to my boar bull, after waiting so long and finally getting what I wanted. And the pup that came out, the pup that I chose and the one that I sent to Texas, I'm super pleased with the both of them. Really good animals, but that I think people cross just to cross sometimes. And like I said, I waited 10 years. I knew I wanted a boar bull, and I knew I wanted a pit bull or OG bully type, something along those lines. Mm-hmm. And I waited a really, really long time until I had both in my hands. Outside of that, I don't think people should just, and I've come across people that, oh yeah, we took this to this and just took half of that name and half of that name, and we called it a Labradoodle. And I know that I'm not knocking them. I'm not knocking them. To each their own. That's really popular today. I get it. But that's not for me. I don't feel like And
but I mean I understand. But inside of that, look at what they did. That's still a water dog.
It's still a water dog, but You
get what I'm saying? They try to sell it for the hypoallergenic. And from what I've researched and heard, is not true. But I don't know.
But when you mention Husky to Corso, now, believe it or not, I've heard crazier than that. I've heard. I've heard crazier than that. I remember there was this dog back home in New York where the mom and the two dads, the bitch was, she was jumped on by two different males. They were all related, and they were all pit bull, Rottweiler, and German Shepherd. And the pup luckily just looked more like a Rottweiler with pointed ears. But I mean, the dog didn't look terrible. The dog they had, the one they kept or whatever. But it was just a point of, you know, I wouldn't stamp that as a breed. I don't see the point in that. You know, if you need,
they look like a Bolsaron.
No, no, maybe a little. Well, bulkier than a Beauceron. I think it took on more of the you know, Rottweiler shoulders, head size. I mean, close to a Beauceron, I suppose, but
it wasn't a finished process, huh?
It wasn't. I looked at that dog. I'm like, I mean, it's a cool looking dog, but it's not something that I would stamp. It's like, well, you got home protection. You want home protection? There's a Rottweiler. If you want home protection cranked up a little higher, you know, as far as speed and everything, there's your German Shepherd. Now, if you want to add gameness to where it hates everything with fur on the planet, there's your Pit Bull. But you put that all into one why? Like,
yeah,
you know,
it's crazy. But like I say,
they did it on purpose, though.
If you would stay in the line of your dog, I mean, this is just me. Everybody can do what they want to do with their dog. I'm not, you know, I'm not the dog police or whatever. And I love dogs, and I've seen some great mixes, you know. So I'm not knocking nobody that want to create, do whatever. You know, some great dogs can come out of that. Some new breeds can come out of it. But, you know, first, before you crossbreed, you have to know your intentions. You have to know, and not just create a dog that's the world's most dangerous dog.
Right.
You know, that's the thing where it's like, I think a lot of people are losing it. It's like, so it's this drive to create the world's most dangerous dog. And what are you going to do with it? Who are you going to sell it to? How many people really have to, if your neighborhood dude is, you need the world's most dangerous dog, it's time for you to pack up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
That's true.
And especially if you got kids there. Why would you want to raise kids in your neighborhood? I got to have, you know, a grizzly bear as a pet. You know, I don't know. But I will say that from a lot of dogs in the show world, in the AKC and these kennel clubs, I think they should, every so many generations, allow you to open the book within that breed. So when I say is, you got the Bullmastiff, which is 60% English Mastiff, 40%. So let's just say, okay, you got one generation where, in 7 or 8 generations, where you say, hey, you can do this outcross to an English Mastiff or to a Bullmastiff or the Connie Corso to a Neo. But that's the only thing. That's the only time. So because you have to, because if not, the gene pool is going to get too tight. That's what happened with the Bulldog. The Bulldog has nowhere to go.
Right.
It has nowhere to go.
And it's beyond repair too.
It's not beyond repair, but they won't allow you to repair it.
Well, no, there's I found this study and I included it in my episode of my docuseries. Studies show that the Bulldog is bred so tightly that even if you added new genes into the gene pool, it wouldn't likely make a difference, because you know how like American Pit Bull Terriers, for example, the game stuff of old, you know, they were so tightly bred that even today, if you got a true game dog and you're trying to bring it home, make it a family member. I mean, you can with a game dog, yes, but you think it's just gonna get along with your Dalmatian.
Exactly.
You know? Like that's going to come out. So according to the study, basically, the English Bulldog is at the point of no return. Like those, you might get lucky with this one or that one, but it's so far down, it would be like they can't even reproduce without human assistance. You know.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
I'm sure you got few and far.
You got to do a little research with it, because there's some bulldogs that can naturally hit it, and it's a lady over in England, and her bulldogs are running, breathing, naturally well. And she breeds for that. And she's like, dude, if my dogs don't naturally whelp, there's a problem. I mean, she has big bulldogs, though. But I say that to say, like, look at all the bull breeds, and you think about which dog closely resembles the bulldog. Now, it may look a little jacked up, you know, but then look at how much oldies you have out there. So if you took an oldie and incorporated it into the English, which these oldies are athletic, healthy, breathing, some of them are not. But
what I came to understand was, like, if I'm not mistaken, the oldie kind of branched into two different directions. Apparently, they started to become too English bulldog-ish on one end, and that's when didn't Dave Levitt kind of branch off and say, no, I want the more athletic?
Dave Levitt branched off.
And he called it the Levitt bulldog.
Actually, Chad with Renaissance Bulldogs, he went a different way. And even from when he started with his gargoyle stuff. And now he's into, you know, I guess he has some shepherds or something I've seen him promote. But
wait, are you talking about the guy with the big white beard?
Chad Jolliser or something.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
I got him on YouTube. He had some of his videos are pretty interesting. I thought the Renaissance Bulldog was definitely a cool looking dog, actually.
It was a great looking dog. And I liked this gargoyle stuff at first, but
the black and tan, I love that.
Omen. You like Omen? Omen?
I don't know what the name was, but
that was his original black and tan stuff.
He had a male and a female, I believe, and they were both black and tan. And
there's when he has a new one with this Renaissance he did, and he has a beautiful male, man, full tail. You know, why doesn't the bulldog have a full tail? Why doesn't the English have a full tail? You know,
right?
These are things that you can incorporate and change the breed to actually help better. You got to go outside of it, but stay inside of it. You know, you have a bull terrier, an English bull terrier. You know, you got to breed it and you got to work it a little bit, but that bull terrier is way healthier than an English bulldog. And a lot of people would probably disagree. Why would you breed a bulldog and mess up a bull terrier? I'm not really trying to mess up the bull terrier. It's more trying to save the bulldog.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So you can't. It depends on how you're looking at it. And but I believe, this is just my thinking and my thoughts on it. I believe that the dog can be saved, but they got to open the books up. They got to open the books up. And
I mean, if it was possible, okay, say like, okay, now what I did for that video was only based on one study, but just say for the sake of argument that they were lucky enough to find some good, like you mentioned, the lady who her dogs are able to reproduce naturally and all that, right? If they did open the books, I'd say probably a oldie would be the best thing to outcross too.
I'd agree 100%.
I think that would, if it could, I think that would clean up a lot.
I would agree 100%. Totally.
Yeah, they're close enough, but I only seen one oldie in person, and I was actually impressed by his build and everything. He was
I had an oldie. I used to breed him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh cool. Yeah.
Beautiful oldie, man. Beautiful. Full tail. Healthy dog. Naturally. They would naturally whelp. He would naturally breed. Actually, man, he was one of the fastest breeders I've ever seen. He got a female tied in 30 seconds.
Damn.
From him coming out and sniffing. 30 seconds. Wow. Very beautiful, man. I'll send you a picture of him, a video of him later. But yeah, that's the thing. That's, you know, I think every breed can be saved. It's just, are you willing to are you willing to open the books, and are you willing to stay within that guideline? You know, you can't use a schnauzer to save a bulldog, but you know, you got bull terrier, you got staffies, you got, you know, oldies, you got, and then you may have to work it a little bit, but you got to do something.
Right. Yeah.
It can be saved, but it's just that do the breed clubs, and do they want to just say, okay, we'll allow this, you know, 1 or 2 generations, but you got to get right back, you know? I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I think, when you're looking at, is the juice worth the squeeze, really? I mean, in order to save the English Bulldog, if it's possible, is the juice worth the squeeze, or should you just start over again? You know, like maybe start focusing on the oldie now, and you know, just let the poor English Bulldog go. That sounds cruel, but like,
but it's the crazy thing, because if you're gonna say that, then what are you gonna do with the pug?
The pug too. It's like, I mean, why?
I mean, you know, what are you gonna, you know, and it's what the problem is, it's a popular breed.
Yeah.
It's a highly popular breed. I mean, just countless mascots, countless people that own them, countless people that see them on a movie. You know, it's a highly popular breed. And when you have a highly popular breed that way, you're going to get bad breedings.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's the point of it all. Like, you're going to get it. It's inevitable.
It's a depressing thought. But
because, you know, like I say, you know, oh, I saw a bulldog, and then tomorrow I got 5, and it's like, oh, you know, but who did you buy a bulldog from? You know, what did you know what I'm saying? So
I get it. Yeah, I don't know.
And then you're gonna run it, and you're gonna push yourself. You're gonna force, and that's what the American Bully did. And a lot of people don't like the breed. Hey, it is what it is.
I like the breed.
I've seen some great looking American Bullies. I don't own them because of the controversy that comes with them.
Right.
Like the stuff that goes on, and you know, behind the dog. It's just, I don't have time for that drama, man. I'm too old for that, and so I don't like to be with that. Now, like I say, in defense of it, I have seen some great American Bullies. Sure. Great American Bullies, you know. I have gone to the shows. I mean, I think what Dave Wilson started with the American Bully, and I will say this real quick. The first show I went to here in Richmond, it was maybe 2000 something, early 2000. And when I went to the show, I saw all the people from different walks of life, different races, different everything, man. And there was no fighting. There was no disagreements. It was just unity. And I was amazed, because you had people that probably, without this dog, would not even socialize with each other. Mm-hmm. Yet alone live next door. You know, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was amazed. I'm like, wow, this something is bigger than this dog. I don't know if they know that. But now, the problem of the dog is they bred it in a corner because of these false competitions.
Yeah.
You know, they went from, you know, my dog has a 3-finger muzzle to, oh, now who got the shortest muzzle? Now I got a 2-finger muzzle. Oh, I got a 1-finger muzzle. I got a smash muzzle. Well, what do you think the dog was going to do when you have fake competitions like that? Oh, I got you know, my dog is stacked next to a Coca-Cola bottle. Mm-hmm. I got the shortest bully. You know, and so what are you going to do? Because you can't take a 100-pound dog like Remy and get a 11-inch dog without using something other than American Bullies.
Right.
It's impossible. Remy was never coming 10, 11 inches tall. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you had to what? Incorporate a French bulldog, or you incorporated something else and then they kept going smaller. They put the bulldog in. They kept going smaller. And then what did they think was going to happen with that dog?
A lot of these micros now, they look like they have Down syndrome, almost. Like they have retarded faces. I just don't.
Yeah.
It's not like you see a bulldog with a smashed face, and you're like, yeah, it's just a bulldog. You see a pug with a smashed face. It just looks like a normal pug. These dogs the looks are getting so freaky that it almost looks like, okay, you picture a pretty dog and then you picture a nightmare, a train wreck. A friend of mine in another interview said, have you ever been to a show, a bully show? I said, no. He was like, you need to go. I was like, I'm not really interested. I like like you were saying, the old early 2000s when it was a community and the dogs were acting like dogs, like Remy and Gotti and all that.
Right.
But
now you got shows with guys are pulling out knives and people are fighting at the tables. And the dogs are like, he's telling me like, dude, they're pulling dead dogs out of a fucking crate when it's 80 degrees outside. And the dog's stroked out after walking around the But see, that's one breed that's heavily inbred.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's an aspect that's never talked about, because that breed right there, if you really listen to a lot of those people and you look at those pedigrees, they try to, and it's I got a dog that's 20 times this, 30 times this. Like, how do you? And the dog is just three generations. How do you have a dog that's 30 times the same dog? But it's this heavy inbreeding and poor breeding that's creating the problem in those dogs. Yeah. Could it be a great dog? I bet it could. But it comes from the higher ups that's involved in the dogs to clean it up. And if they don't decide to clean it up, the uneducated ones that are stuck breeding these dogs and poor breeding, that don't want to research anything, that don't care about the dogs, they're going to continue to mess it up. Yeah. And you're getting what you're getting now. And
you know what though, like, I'm not bashing the bully community at all, because like I said before, man, there's some camps out there that I really like, and I like what they're doing.
They are, and that's sad because they're being overshadowed.
With that being said, come on, man. Look at the notorious Juan Gotti. Look at his father, Raider. Look at Monster. Look at any of those old gray line, Gotti line dogs, and look at Dax. You don't see something wrong with this picture? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like, there's zero resemblance. You would think that was a completely different breed of dog looking at those two comparisons.
And Dax is a prodigy of his mom. Because if you look at Dax and you look at Ichiban, they're the same dog. One's just taller. But Ichiban looks more like Barbie. And when you look at that dog, it's a lot of people that say Ed put Bulldog in it, and Ed has I even seen where it says Ed use a Lapahar Bulldog. I'm like, get out of here, man. It's crazy. It's crazy the stuff they say, man.
I wouldn't believe
that. And I'm like, wow.
But I remember falling.
But he looks like Romeo and Barbie. But where does it come from? And if you look in his pedigree, you'll see other dogs that look like him. So he's a product of what you're saying, like Juan Gotti, and there's a difference from Remy to Juan Gotti to Cairo. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at Cairo to Little Ro to Paco.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I can't stand it, man. The dogs that...
And I like all three of those dogs. I mean, Little Ro and Paco, they're healthy dogs. Shout out to Suarez because he's a top breeder in the American Bullies. And
absolutely.
He has some of the finest consistent dogs that's in that group.
Mm-hmm.
But you see the difference in them.
Yeah, but it's just, I think, man, I don't know. I guess it's selfish thinking.
You like what you like.
Yeah, I like what I like. It's selfish thinking.
You like what you like, man. There's nothing wrong with that.
Like I remember,
nothing wrong with that.
Like you remember the old Bully Badass TV. I was saying this to somebody else. You know, back when it was Bully Badass TV, and they were at the dog shows. And like you said, the community was strong, man. It brought a lot of people together. And I thought
it brought a lot of people together.
Man, that's cool. They're making it like almost like a block party almost, basically.
Yeah.
With a dog ring, and all these dogs. Back then, I didn't see a single dog out there that I wasn't like, oh man, look at that dog. Oh man, look at that dog. I'm staring at my computer screen till my eyes hurt. You know, like, man, look at that one. Man, every dog they showed was fire, and they were barking at each other, and like, you didn't go too close to certain dogs. I'm like, man, I fell in love. But then some years went by, and you know, I was focusing.
Into the nosedive, man, and it's like, what is this? You wake up one morning, you're like, what is this? Where did those dogs go?
What happened?
But to kind of get back to the Bullmastiff, and this is a true. I had a conversation. I called a lady. You remember I told you in the beginning, I had a set of dogs from Beverly Shoup. Okay? Now, I wanted to reach out to her and talk, you know, Bullmastiffs, and see if she, you know, anybody had a lot of her stuff still around or whatever, right? And she gave me a lady's number that lives in southwestern Virginia. And so I called her up, and we were talking about the dogs that Beverly had. And I was looking for them, and she said, this came out of this lady's mouth, and she's breeding. And this is word for word. She said, the dogs you're looking for don't exist no more. I said, what do you mean?
What a heartbreaking statement.
They don't breed for that no more. And I'm like, wow. how? But she bred the Bullmastiff. I'm like, well, how did you? Because she knew all the dogs I was talking about. PT Cruiser, you know, all the you know, the stuff Beverly had, and Gunner, and some of the other dogs that was in his line. And these are big dogs, you know, 27 inches, big, you know, strong, burly, but tight-bodied dogs. And you're talking 140 pounds, 150 pounds, but solid, but no body fat. That's amazing. And she's like, the dogs you're looking for don't exist no more. And I'm like, wow.
That's crazy. Well,
that's
shit, man.
Amazing. How do you breed away from? So the question is, and it goes back to sometimes the show ring, which is judges. Right. Some judges like certain looks. Some judges favor certain breeders.
Right.
Oh man, when you look into the politics of that stuff, man, it's dirty. But they don't understand they're hurting the dogs, not helping them. You get what I'm saying? They're hurting the dogs. If I got a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, I don't want to see just a terrier. Where's the bulldog in it? Where's the balance? If I got a dog that's two breeds, I should see both breeds in that dog.
Right.
I should see a well-balanced dog that resembles. I should see a product of both. When I don't know if you have kids, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're married or wife or whatever, but your kids are a product of you and your mother. I mean, their mother, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. But if you look at your kids and you don't see either one of you in that, something's wrong.
Yeah. He was up
regardless
in the closet.
Of, you know, but dude, you should see both of you. I can look at my kids and see myself and my wife.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I don't, then, well, somebody got some explaining to do.
Right, but, yeah. You should see,
you know.
I mean, I notice sometimes when kids are born, you might only be able to pick out one or two things about one partner or the other, and then they took completely more after one side.
Yeah, and it happens.
But
right.
you'll still know for a fact based on, yeah, no, he looks completely like his mother, but those are my eyes all day. Like you'll be able to pick out.
You're gonna see both of you in.
You'll be able to pick out something. You know, I was just talking to Carl Burton, and he was like, you know, we were talking about the working pit bulldog because that's what, you know, he has. And, you know, he brought up the word, you know, American Pit Bull Terrier. And he's like, well, these dogs definitely can't be considered terrier. I don't see terrier in them. When you look at a Pit Bull Terrier, especially the ADBA standard, that dog acts like a terrier. Like you were saying, you know, Staffordshire Bull Terrier. That dog acts like a terrier. It's bouncing around. It's feisty. It's crazy. You know, but if you don't see that, especially these guys who claim to have pit bulls, but that tail isn't wagging fast enough. They're not bouncing fast enough. You know what I mean? That dog's not. There's no terrier anywhere in that dog. Like how they took, how they had to shorten the Doberman Pinscher to just Doberman, because there's no terrier.
Yeah.
There's no terrier in that dog anymore.
No.
You know, I mean, it might have started out at one point, but that's gone.
And I want to say, man, in the States, man, they versus European, I got to go with that conversation because there is a difference.
Absolutely.
There's a difference, man. And there's a different attitude. There's a different mindset when it comes to the European. And I'm not saying every European has got the perfect dog. I'm not going to say that. Mm-hmm. But when you look at, and I'm not saying every American breeder has a bad program either. And that's great, you know, great and bad on both sides. But it's a little bit more on that side that is different. Like when you look at the American bullies, you don't really see exotics over there in Europe.
No. I haven't seen many, that's for sure.
You know, you see what I'm saying?
There's
you don't
a lot
really see them over there.
I noticed what I hear more of over there than anything is the XLs. That's what I think that just from what I see more XLs over there than any other type of American bull.
And by the way, I just want to say I stand with the people with the XLs.
Yeah.
You know, don't ban the dogs.
No, man.
For people that are not responsible.
Yeah.
You know.
I was just saying earlier, a buddy of mine, his fan became friend over there. He was going to jump on and talk about it in an interview, but now he just had second thoughts about it. He's literally trying to only walk his dogs at night because they're talking about coming and taking their dogs.
Yeah, coming and taking the dogs out the house, man.
Yeah.
And euthanizing.
Yeah.
You're talking hundreds of thousands of dogs.
Yeah, like they did in Denver, Colorado that year, man.
Yeah.
I saw the image haunts me to this day, man. The image haunts me to this day. I saw it online. It was just a pile of dead pit bulls. I'm talking there was hundreds. And it was just like, what? How can they be allowed to do that? At that point in time, for me, you know, I would have gone extra constitutional. Let's just say that. Like, no. Let's all get together. We're gonna. Whoever made this decision, we're pulling him to the middle of the city, and we're taking his head, and we'll vote for somebody new. You're going door to door and taking people's family members essentially and euthanizing them. That calls for revolution in my mind.
Yeah.
That calls for
But the problem is, what do they consider just the XL? Now you got, and you know, like you said, these band dogs, and I'm not knocking band dogs and people, but
you also
my
got
thing is this too:
Corsos, Presas, that all look similar. Dogo Argentinos that look kind of similar.
All that stuff is the Bullmastiffs. All that stuff is included in it, man. But I will say this: if you're gonna have these dogs, and I'm talking to anybody that's listening, whatever, and you're big on doing this, you know, working and biting and teaching the dog, and that's fine, but you better have the obedience behind it.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one.
Absolutely.
You better have the obedience behind that dog. Because what you're doing, and I'm going to tell you, the Amstaff that I had, right? Mm-hmm. I was 16. And I called this guy. It was a friend of mine, his uncle. And he was doing protection work. You know, he would train a dog and do obedience and all that. And I'll never forget this conversation, and it stuck with me throughout the rest of my life, you know, with dogs and everything. And he said this. He said, I'll train your dog. You pay my fee, I'll train your dog. Right? And he says, man, but once I turn this dog on, it doesn't get turned off. And he says, it's like walking around with a pistol off safety all the time. Now, he's like, it's your choice. Right? And, you know, of course, I'm 16, man. I'm like, wow, you know. But I didn't do it. But the thing about it was, to do that, he stressed this dog has to go through obedience before we even start bite work. Mm-hmm. If you're not doing obedience, I'm not training your dog.
Right.
Because what's the sense of me having a dog that's biting anything and I cannot control it? I can't turn this dog off. I can't call this dog back. I'm never going to send a dog. And this is a true story. Another guy, man, he got charged because once you send the dog off, you become the threat.
Yeah.
That's a charge.
Yep.
People don't realize that. When they go and take these dogs and they teach them and send them, you show all these videos, go get them. When are you going to send a dog? Your dog's supposed to protect you in your 5 feet of space. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. If you have to send the dog, that's like shooting a man that's running away from the back.
Yeah, there's a big difference between a personal protection dog and an apprehension dog that the police or military would use. If you're sending the dog, you just pulled the trigger.